Red alert. Red alert.
Oh, look, a goat herder. He probably wrote the Bible. At least that is what this week's meme believes. Here we see a figure in obvious biblical attire holding up an elongated rock. The caption reads, "I herded goats my whole life, so I wrote a book that explains the whole universe." I'm assuming the book he's referring to is the Bible. That goes without saying. But where are his goats? Could we not find any goat herding imagery to use? Did we think biblical-looking guy holding up rock would suffice for goat herder? Well, sadly, this is a very common misconception. That is that the Bible was written by a goat herder, not that goat herders move rocks around. Unfortunately for our author, he must be misinformed about the history and authorship behind the Bible. Problem 1. The Bible isn't so much a single book as it is a collection of 66 books. Problem 2. These multiple books were not written by one man, they were written by about 40. Problem 3. Of these 40 authors, only 2 herded livestock. Moses, the author of Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, and Job, was raised as an Egyptian in the royal courts, but then had to flee into the wilderness where he met his wife and took up sheep herding for a while. That is until he saw a burning bush, and came back to unleash all hell on the Egyptians until the Pharaoh let the Israelites go. Man, that is one vengeful goat herder. Our other herder was David, the author of Psalms, who herded sheep when he was a boy. But he spent his later years crushing it on the battlefield, hiding in caves, then ruling as a king and watching women bathe from afar. So there you have it, 2 sheep herders out of 40. The rest of the authors were fishermen, translators, prophets, kings, advisors to kings, a tax collector, physician, and in the case of Saul, a first-century version of Dog the Bounty Hunter. But then he changed his name to Paul and turned to the more exciting profession of tent making. Problem 4. None of the 2 authors that herded livestock did it their whole life. David only did it as a boy, and Moses did it in the free time between floating down rivers and parting seas. Problem 5. Timeline. To really put the nail in the coffin of the lone author conspiracy, the multiple books were written over the course of about 1,470 years, stretching from about 1400 BC to 70 AD. Something very difficult for one man to do. This has been proven by archaeology and the studying of textile, writing, materials, language, etc. And now our last problem. Problem number 6. Does the Bible really explain the whole universe? I'm assuming that the author of this meme is referencing the creation account in Genesis, as in, Genesis explains how everything in existence came to be. I'm also assuming that the author believes Genesis is at odds with science. Whether or not this is true is hard to say. Where some Christians do flat out reject contemporary scientific models using a literal interpretation of Genesis as the authority, there are other Christians who believe contemporary scientific models can be harmonized with the Genesis account. This leads to a wide variety of interpretations ranging from young Earth creationists to old Earth creationists and theistic directed evolutionists to theistic planned evolutionists. Who is right is hard to say, but in the strictest sense of it all, we see an account where God purposely crafted our existence, and this is not to be disputed among theists. So, no, the Bible was not written by a single goat herder, nor does it claim to explain the whole universe.